All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Today, we're going to go over a ton. We are also going to go over everything that has happened in the world over the last 24 hours and some stuff that we're going to be bringing back from 2014. So stick around. We'll be right back right after this. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. Maybe it was a spaceship or maybe it was rented by the elites, and if you want to get metric, it was going 28 miles per second. I think it was rotating around heliocentric. Maybe it was a spaceship. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Today we have a ton to go over in a short amount of time. So if you are new here, remember you can always go over to marfooglenews.com and you can find all of our sources. In fact, you can also sign up for our notifications, and it is very easy to navigate. It is all done by thumbnail. So you'll look for today's thumbnail. I was not the first, under the rug, and that is referencing the 2014 claim that has been pushed under the rug for about 8 years now. We'll talk about that and much, much more today. And then, of course, you'll see that all of the sources are there, so you know exactly where your stories are coming from. And then, of course, once you hit a yellow bar, that is where stuff like the documentary that we talked about last night, that will all be down there. Anything that is too hot for TV or they are actively watching out for, I call it, as far as not talking about some of these things, it's kind of like if you were to go in battle, would you wear a bright orange vest or would you wear camo? We are in a conflict right now of another kind, and again, our website is to combat that. So make sure to go over to our website. There's tons of additional information there. Plus, there's stuff that is too far to one direction for us to cover if we can't be neutral. We try to be as neutral as possible. I welcome anybody and everybody. I've always been like that. In fact, when I grew up, we didn't have this side and that side. It's only been in the last 15 years or so that people have just been hyper to one side. In fact, I have beliefs that are on both sides, so I don't know how I would ever clarify myself as one or the other. I do have a feeling, again, that most of you have experienced that same thing over the last few years, so you understand. Now, there's going to be a bunch of people in chat. The general rules are just to be incredibly awesome to each other and push each other up. We do not put down other creators. If you want to say something nice about another creator, you can do so. But again, you guys are part of this. You're a part of the channel. You are part of the group. You get to interact with the show. So a lot of the stuff that we show you here, a lot of it is viewer powered. So just remember that when you are going in and doing stuff, that you are part of this. And if you want to keep this going, then you have to play an active part as well. Ariel's Pervy Perspective says, Mike is very sick. Can we please get prayers? Hey, I will be praying for Mike, Ariel. I can't speak for others, but I know that there's going to be a bunch of people that are as well. And then Project Exodus, before the show even started, thank you for your support. Appreciate that so much. And then, of course, Survival Living popped in before the show even started. The second we said that we were going live, he popped in. So thank you so much. Again, if you guys haven't checked out Survival Living, make sure to go do so. By the way, I'm not doing that. I've told him not to do super chats and things. I actually tell people to go watch him because he is actually a really good guy, and that he is trained a lot more than most people are, as far as he goes through classes and things to actually know what he's talking about and preparing. All right, let's bring in my co-host / internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I am doing just fine.
So we have, by the way, let's see here, Jessa Krebs, thank you for subscribing. Oksana Gerasimchuk, thank you so much for subscribing. And then Walking the Narrow Path, thank you for subscribing. I appreciate that. And it looks like we have a bunch of people that just piled into D-Live over there. So hold on one second. Let me just say hi. Thank you, Doogie Doug, and then everyone else that just popped in. By the way, it looks like D-Live is, we are also looking into Rumble because now Rumble has a feature for live. Let us know in the chat below or in the comments if you would like to see us live on Rumble. It is definitely, it would be a kind of an expensive step up. I believe it's close. It may be over $100 a month for us to go live over there. So, but if enough of you are over there, we will try to do it. And then Lisa K23, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. And then everybody else that is piling in right now. So we just to first talk about the Brooklyn gentleman who threw gas and smoke booms into the subway. There was some pretty crazy stuff there. So if you are following on different platforms like Twitter, you'll see that a lot of information is coming out. Previously, over the last couple of years, this guy has been pretty active, and he is, I guess, against certain people. We could say that, and they're pretty much the opposite of himself. That is strangely being kind of pushed under the rug, which is kind of the theme for today's show. There's a lot of stuff that's been pushed under the rug for some reason. It says the madman who opened on a Brooklyn subway car and left 29 injured, 10 of them shot through, has been taken into custody. Law enforcement sources told the Post on Wednesday. Frank Jane was named by cops, 62 years old, the sole person of interest after a man in a gas mask, helmet, and neon construction vest threw two smoke and then opened fire on strafingers. I would believe that mean strap hangers, I guess. Is that what they call the people that hold on to the straps? Well, riding, yep. That's really what they call them? I've never heard of that.
Yep.
Why in a piece like this, though, would they use something that is, I'm guessing, is New York slang?
Because it's written by New York Post, and they're New Yorkers.
Oh, so they've got to put their New York, and no offense to anybody in New York, but I would have never known that. We don't have strap hangers here. While riding the Manhattan-bound North train. Somehow, with 29 injured, most of those, 10 of them through the bang-bangs, and then the rest are through smoke inhalation and other things, somehow nobody perished so far. I believe, as of checking the beginning of this episode, there was 5 in critical, and then there was other stuff. So they did get him. If you look, they quickly deleted a lot of his platforms. If you go over to Twitter right now, type in his name, you'll find a whole bunch of crazy stuff on there. So if you want to go check that out, again, you can go over, or you can go and find it through this article over on marfooglenews.com.
Allegedly, he called the hotline on himself.
That's just nuts. Maybe he didn't want to, I smell tuna here. Okay. And then we have Harvard scientists discover the first interstellar meteor to collide with Earth. U.S. military confirms. Now, what is so crazy is there are 2019 articles about this. There's 2017 articles about this. There's 2014 articles about this because it was only a theory. And it was something that 2 gentlemen essentially came up with, got all of the information together, and they would not publish it scientifically because the government was basically holding back the ability to verify how accurate the information that was put out. So basically, they put out information. They could basically take that information, put it through the ringer, and say, hey, this was our first interstellar object. Why this matters is, if you remember a couple of years ago, Oumuamua, the cigar-shaped first interstellar object that came into our around our planet, came right by Earth and then mysteriously sped up as it went away. Now, they've explained this, like, I don't think they did it with the slingshot, but they said that because of its shape and how its orbit is or something, basically it slowed down by Earth and then sped up after it passed away. And they actually named it Scout. Oumuamua means scout. So a lot of people, including even Harvard people, and I don't know if these guys are, they're at the same school, right? One of the Harvard guys said that it may be an alien, right? So that made the news and everybody was talking about this, and we talked about it back then. Basically, for somebody at Harvard to come out and say this, it was a big deal because obviously, back in the days, if you said this, you would be laughed off of the Harvard board or you'd be kicked out for saying something so crazy, right? Now, it is something that a lot of people actually agree with, that Oumuamua was not a meteor at all. Now, I just want to put that in your head as far as some of the smartest people in the world are saying that may have been something that was higher intelligence. Now, not saying that that's what I believe, but I do think that there's something weird here. Then we found out in 2014, something hit off of Papua New Guinea, and people had cell phone videos and things of this thing streaking by. And it says that one meteor traveled quite a long way from home to visit Earth. Researchers discovered a first known interstellar meteor to ever hit Earth. Remember, the first interstellar object tracked by scientists was Oumuamua, but they technically was the first interstellar, which means it was from outside of our supposed universe, right? And it came from outside, and it came in, and this one apparently hit. It says, according to a recently released United States Space Command document, an interstellar meteor is a space rock that originates from outside of our solar system. It's a rare occurrence. It says this one is known as, and it crash landed along the northeast coast of Papua New Guinea on January 8th, 2014. The finding came as a surprise to Amir Siraj, who identified the object as an interstellar meteor in 2019 study where he co-authored while an undergraduate at Harvard University. Siraj was investigating Oumuamua and the first known interstellar object in our solar system that was found in 2017 with Abraham Loeb, professor of science at Harvard University. Now, I don't know if either one of those is the gentleman who basically said this could be a UFO, but it would be weird if that was a third gentleman from Harvard basically focused on this, right? And it says Siraj decided to go through NASA's Center of Near-Earth Object Studies database to find other interstellar objects and found what he believed to be an interstellar meteor within days. It says the meteor's high velocity is what initially caught Siraj's eye. The meteor was moving at a high speed of about 28 miles per second. Relative to Earth, which is moving around 18.6 miles per second, supposedly. And it says around the sun. Because researchers measured how fast the meteor was moving while on a moving planet, the 45 kilometers per second was not actually how fast it was going. The heliocentric speed defined as the meteor speed relative to the sun, which is a more accurate way to determine the object's orbit. It's calculated based on the angle and which a meteor hits the Earth. The planet moves in one direction around the sun, so the meteor could have hit Earth head on, meaning opposite direction the planet is moving, or from behind in the same direction, and so on. Since the meteor hit Earth from behind, Siraj's calculation said that the meteor was actually traveling about 37.3 miles per second relative to the sun. They mapped this out, and then it says that this means that rather than circling around the sun like other meteors, it came from outside the solar system. So they found that this was an interstellar object. So essentially, this came from outside of our solar system and potentially crashed here in 2014, or they say it did now. And now the military and the Department of Defense actually sent them a letter and confirmed it. So they had to request this stuff, and they had to get it confirmed by the military. And why? And again, they tried doing this the last few years, and at least until 2017, and the government kept denying it. So why are they letting this out now? For all of you that think that there may be some sort of fake event coming as far as people coming down or green men, or why did they turn it down so many times? They ended up, holding back information. They wouldn't confirm it. Essentially, a Oumuamua-like object hit in Papua New Guinea, and was it a meteor at all? That is a big question that I believe in the coming future, people that are at Harvard or other schools, they're going to start asking these kinds of questions now that this is confirmed. Why did they deny it so much? Why did they hide it? Now, it also goes into how they basically said, and they hold it back. It says, presumably it was produced by another star, got kicked out of that star's planetary system, and just so happened to make its way to our solar system and collide with Earth. It said that Loeb and Siraj have been unable to get their findings published in a journal because their data came from NASA's CNEOS database, which doesn't divulge information such as how accurate the readings are. After years of trying to obtain the additional information needed, they received official confirmation that it was, in fact, an interstellar meteor. And it says, from John Shaw, Deputy Commander of the U.S. Space Command. The command is part of the U.S. Department of Defense and is responsible for the military operations in outer space. So, and then it goes into basically how it says, I thought I would never learn the true nature of this meteor, that it was just blocked somewhere in the government after our many tries. So actually seeing that letter from the Department of Defense with my eyes was a really incredible moment. So the main point here, and this is a thought exercise for everybody out here, why did they basically push this under the rug? What really was that? What do you think of Oumuamua in general? If you know, and if you followed my show, we followed it back then, and Oumuamua had the weirdest orbit, and it supposedly came close and by Earth and then sped up as it left. And that was the first ever interstellar object ever observed. And then within, it was very, very close apart. It was like the same year, we had the second ever discovered interstellar object then go and come out. And it was like the Scout, then the next one, and then something else. It was very, very weird. Dex, what do you think about this as far as, we had a long talk about this today.
Yeah, the thing that comes to my mind on this is it because it is interstellar that they didn't want to put it out? Because think about this, like we certainly don't have the knowledge of every NEO, but we've mapped out a lot of NEOs, right? And these NEOs are just circling around the sun. They've got orbits. They know like they'll come around this year or next year or 20 years from now or 100 years from now, right? They know, they've measured all these things and they've mapped it out. But interstellar, they have no clue. Like you can't, you're lucky if you can even see it. And we know they have a hard time seeing what's coming. And so this basically means that something can target us or hit us or randomly hit us, I guess, from outside our solar system. And we would never know what's coming. We would never be able to do anything about it. So obviously, I think we could detect it. We get lucky and detect it when it's coming in. But that's only if we're looking in the right spot, and this is not, we look at things that are moving around. And we have like this notion of, okay, things are moving around our solar system and we measure things that way. So I think maybe it's just the notion that this is sort of a scarier class of threat, so to speak, from space, that maybe they didn't want this out there.
Well, and another thing is they obviously were not trying to, be overly open with this. I just wonder if they found something in this or a material back in 2014. If you look, I want to keep looking into this. And in the Foogle fam, you guys are welcome. This is part of the interactive part as well. Do your homework. Go out and see if you can find anything around January 8th. Was there any weird events that happened around that time? The date that this hit in 2014. Was there any kind of weird big event that distracted everybody, or how big of a story was the Papua New Guinea rock? Now, anytime that a bunch of people see something streaking against the sky, usually it has a couple articles out there. Go do some digging and see if there was anything strange around this. Now, after this, from 2014 to now all of a sudden, big corporations and huge companies and governments are looking at asteroids for money reasons or for metals and resources. So did they find something in that interstellar rock that possibly could have made them money? Could they have found some very rare resources? Could they have found a new metal we've never seen? Could they have found some new property or some new mineral that is, unknown to human beings? That's the big question. And then they also talk about in this, oh my gosh. So this also reminds me, and I just thought of this now. If you remember, there was a very special rock that hit off of, and it says, Siraj would also like to put a team together and try to retrieve part of the meteor that landed in the Pacific Ocean, but admitted it would be unlikely possibility due to the sheer size of the project. Do you guys remember off of the Washington and Oregon coast when they had FBI take over that whole town? They had FBI, DHS, all of these. They had NASA there, and they took over these small beach towns in Washington and Oregon. You guys can look this up. And all of the hotels around there, the big deal in these little towns was that everybody was FBI, DHS, or whatever, and they swarmed in, and they rented almost every hotel room. And their big search was for a rare asteroid of some sort. Now, they said at that time, I don't know what asteroid they said that was. Maybe they said it was a different one. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe they were actually trying to find this interstellar object. They did say that it was special. Dex, do you remember that? We covered it, and we may have it on our website archived, but I wonder if we can find that piece. It was essentially they took over. I remember even the articles were saying that they took over, I want to say Grays Harbor or one of these little towns, and they ended up renting up all the hotels, and they were doing a search for a meteor. I just wonder if they finally got it together and got this huge project, because a lot of people were involved in that. The other thought that I had when they did that, and what I actually said back on those shows, is that possibly could have been, that was when the University of Glasgow, they had a bunch of scientists basically saying they 100% have figured out a way to have a asteroid big enough to mine, small enough not to do damage, and they have figured out a way to get them to land on Earth. So they are actually saying that they figured out how to get an asteroid to hit Earth, not the opposite, but to actually hit Earth and then to mine it. The positive part about this is they could get all these metals and things off of it. And we were like, well, this is dangerous. A lot of people questioned it. In fact, I believe other scientists said that this is dangerous. What if you miss? What if you get it to go towards Earth, but you lose the ability of getting it where it's going to land? Dex, you did find that, didn't you?
Yeah, it's in Screener.
So this, and I don't know if this is related. Maybe there's absolute proof that this isn't, and you guys are welcome to put that in. But look at this. This is what I just thought of, and this was so odd, and we were infatuated by it then. Look at this. It says scientists searching for meteorite fragments off of Washington coast. It says scientists will try to recover fragments of a meteorite that fell off the Washington coast after it soared across Grays Harbor skies in March. Crews on the Nautilus expedition will live stream their search efforts Monday and Tuesday. It says you'll see exactly what we're seeing while we're looking for these meteorites. I don't know. This might be it, but I know that DHS and FBI and everybody, it says we're definitely interested in it because it's such a rare and fascinating event, but NASA has an interest in it because of the composition. See that? What was in the composition of it? And do they tell you that? Let's see here. Yeah. So I don't know if this is related again. But yeah, but what I thought back then is maybe this was actually forced to Earth. Maybe that why they were so interested in it is because this is one of the first tests of the University of Glasgow system of somehow maybe they said, hey, this is how you do it. And maybe some government said, well, let's try. If they got a big enough asteroid to hit in the ocean that it doesn't cause a tidal wave, they're able to track it down and find it, they could mine it. But if you go too big, then it does damage, tidal wave, whatever else, or it destroys a city. But if they get just the right size, it will burn up and be enough to mine. Just a thought. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. What do you think about this 2014 object that they hid? I definitely think that there's something fishy with it. And then, of course, BG, good old BG, says he warned us about the DEM ick in his 2015 TED Talk, but 90% of the views were after it was too late. So you may have remembered this TED Talk, and many have talked about it, and many have watched it since. In fact, I believe I saw it before because we were talking about this. We were talking about this about 5-6 months before. We were talking about the W and the H and the O, their graphs and all their weird charts. Most of us in this niche were talking about this before. And of course, most people did not see it until after this hit. Everybody was stuck at home and looking about, that exact keyword, right? It says that BG gave a keynote speech at TED 2022 conference on Tuesday. He referenced his 2015 talk in which he warned a demic was on the horizon and we weren't ready for it. Today, BG said that he hoped the current CV crisis would spur his audience at TED 2022 in Vancouver, Canada, to pay closer attention to his advice about how to prevent another one wreaking similar havoc on society. It says, when I was on stage in 2015, I was one of the many people who said we weren't ready and we needed to get ready. We didn't, he said. The speech actually was watched by a lot of people, but 90% of the views were after it was too late. In the 2015 talk, BG said that the world was not ready for the next epidemic, and it says that the pose the greatest risk of global catastrophe compared to other threats to humanity. A YouTube video of his 2015 presentation garnered more than 36 million views so far, which is that's quite a bit, even especially for something that's not something that is not a music video, right? It says, if anything kills over 10 million people over the next few decades, it's most likely to be highly rather than a conflict. Not missiles, but microbes. Now, most of you all know that the different research that he was a part of right before this happened and how they basically war-gamed this all out. Again, that is something that we talked about before, and it almost fell into an exact T. In that exercise, they even talked about how they would fiddle with platforms just like this. So lots of stuff there, and lots of stuff. If you go back to my older shows, we talked about this, and we talked about the charts. In fact, there's one with the demic word right there, right on the thumbnail. Go back to that video. Again, that is a really, really pretty shocking, and especially when you're watching it, realizing that we had no idea how close and how on we were about that and how it would affect the world economically. They were basically doing charts. They were saying, hey, this is the next epidemic is going to affect the world in this way. And it went through all of the charts of how it would economically affect everybody and bankrupt everybody and do all this stuff. Look at where we're at right now. Look at those charts. And then that same time period, within a week, they were doing mass exercises just here in Seattle. I did a video and I interviewed people at the Pike Place Market that said that they saw people with masks on, all these things, and doing drills, like running through and mapping the whole place out. Very, very strange stuff. Remember, a lot of those events actually coincide with real ones. Dex?
Yeah, so imagine all the things he's asked for or lobbied for or pushed for from 2015 till 2019, right? Imagine now the climate we're in today. Everything he's going to ask for and want and push for, it's going to be under the umbrella of look at what just happened. So it was this, this thing can happen, and most people sort of rolled their eyes and ignored it, right? Well, now when I say everybody, I'm talking about the people in power, whether it be, government money or other, large investors, et cetera, or principals across the globe, right? Big organizations. So now imagine what's going to get pushed through as we move forward over the next, 5 to 10 years, as far as systems, policies, programs, global changes, et cetera.
Yeah, and I'm sure this time that you may get a very different response. Now, first off, I do want to pull this up. This sounds promising here, so hold on one second. Project Exodus says, my load boards are filling up with military freight, more than I've ever seen, such as tanks and APCs and containers, as well as crated blind shipments. Alaska and Cali are prime delivery area. Okay, Project Exodus. Oh, man. Okay, so first of all, and then Project Exodus says, sent you a DM on Twitter. One example of military freight movement, didn't reveal companies, plus compensation is absurd. Okay, so let me look at this first and make sure that, hold on here. All right, one second. And let's see here. And then Project Exodus. Did you have, what is your screen name here? I'm guessing it's, let's see here. Okay, I don't want to. Okay, we're actually getting several people that are sending this. So I don't know if this is actually you or somebody else, but Humvees and APCs. Just saw a convoy of a bunch of these on I-70 eastbound west of Richmond, Indiana. And others. Is that you, Sean? Is that you, or is it the other one? So what we'll do is we'll try to show this on tomorrow's show because it's a little bit harder to get it over and on after we're already set up. But yeah, that's pretty creepy. And I actually see one from the 7th as well from somebody else. And then from the 9th. So I will have to look in. The thing is for the last 3 days, I have not been over there too much. Okay. And sorry for the other couple people that it looks like I missed as well. So, first of all, we said a few weeks ago that the big thing was that there was a ton of stuff moving to the west. In fact, I would just want to make a shout out to Paul from Off Grid Desert Farming. He was just talking about one of the two things that have been passed on Vlad's side, and then of course on our side. They just passed something here in the United States that would essentially they could send military equipment to UKR without doing any kind of paperwork. But I don't think that that's just for UKR. They can send military equipment to anywhere. Now, Dex, can we confirm that? Do you know exactly what I'm talking about? We covered this where we went through Congress and we basically made it so where we can send stuff without doing all of the rigmarole and all the loops. Do you know what I'm talking about, Dex?
No, I don't know the specific bill or law that was passed for that.
So if somebody knows what bill that is, put it in the chat below, and then we'll pull it up and show everybody. Let's see here. Dakota Cavan is here. Thank you, Stone78. CJ Blaze, I hope you're in here somewhere. Badger1, Preposition. Gail Goodrich, is that what it's called? Ronan Returns, good evening. Let's see here. One on B, Gail Goodrich, Cindy Griffin, Garrett Strong, Mercer1. What is going on? Randall Hill speaks. It's cost so much money to patent something. That's why everything has patent pending. Yes, I know that for sure. I actually have a friend that tried to patent a bunch of stuff and was like, okay, I'm not doing that. God is an alien. Chef Lee. Hello, Wisp Jen. What's up, Marf and Dex Fugel? Johnny Fry Guy, the Recalcitrant. Phil Billy. What's going on? And it looks like Melissa Steinberg. What's going on? American Expat. Stealth Mode. Hey, what's going on? Yeah, pre-position equipment ready for use. Presidential Draw Act. Is that what it is called? So I'm asking is that able to ship it other places in UKR, or do they have to list that in whatever bill that was? So here's my question: is if it isn't, then they could send it to California, they could send it to Alaska, they could send it to Canada, they could send it to anywhere without doing all of that. This is something they hadn't passed since I want to say WW2. So it was something that wasn't there. And then it said President B sent $800 million. We actually have that in tonight's show. But yeah, that is the thing. And then Narrow Gate, what is going on? Virginia Olson. Yeah, so I'm gonna end up. We're most likely gonna probably have some other stuff on tomorrow's show. It looks like we already have some pretty good stuff there. And then Brian Knight, thank you. It's just Jacob. How are you guys doing? And anybody watching the replay, thank you, everybody. Project Exodus at SSSA ADO7 example is sent from Edison Air Force Base down to your state. So I don't know if I saw that one. So we may be even talking about something else. Maybe if you can resend it right now while you're there. Oh, I know why. It's because there's a whole list. I have to approve it or something. I see you. Okay. And I'll accept. So then you can send in the future here. Okay, so hold on. Let me. Okay, so this is extremely specific. So there's phone numbers on here and stuff. But it looks like Oak Harbor and so Alaska and Washington specifically on North Langley Road. Wow. So I might have to DM you back after the show. This looks extremely specific though. I don't want those phone numbers on there going out to the public. But I guess for what people need to know is obviously they are moving a ton of stuff around, and that's no secret. That's not loose lips sink ships. That's like we all know this is happening. Again, just a shout out to Paul from Off Grid Desert Farming. As far as a lot of this stuff, it's like I think that his attitude is kind of he's just kind of straightforward, saying, "Hey, this is happening," and a lot of us, you know, including myself, it's hard to say that because you don't want to scare people, but at the same time, that's what we really believe. I mean, like, this is happening right now. How do you say that all of this is happening for nothing? That they're spending all of this money and it's all going to nothing? I don't think it's just UKR. This is something that is going to change the global landscape. We are all basically on a petrodollar, which isn't going to be around. I mean, this is it. This is what we've been talking about for a long time. Vamos a la Panda. Thank you for subscribing. Ben Silverman, Wendy Carey, and Shuffers. Thank you. Stephen Moore and Sazig Sefov. Thank you so much. Project Exodus, I will DM you and I'll send you a blocked out thing, and I'll probably show it on tomorrow's show. And then we have German police bust right group planning attack on energy grid. So it's crazy to me that every country now has the left and the right. Dex, do you realize that? Like everywhere has kind of done the same thing, including Europe, how they have, you know, this whole, everyone is divided no matter what country they're in.
Yeah. And even in, countries where there's conflicts going on, and the extreme on one side is okay there, but on other countries it's not. So yeah, very interesting how they label the labeling they're using, right, when they call it this. That's the point.
It's almost like globally all of the media is under the same kind of umbrella, right? Like I know this sounds crazy, but like, what if like 5 or 6 families owned everything planet-wide? That's crazy, a crazy, you know, theory. I think I went too long on that. It said police in the western state of Rhineland-Palatinate say that they have broken up a extremist chat group that was seeking to bring down Germany's democracy. It says the state criminal police office, the LKA in Mainz, said Wednesday that the individuals from a group calling itself the Vereinigte Patrioten. So, oh my gosh, it's literally like they are copy and pasting one country and saying, okay, let's do this to these people too, which it means united. That's right. Planned boom booms on Germany's energy infrastructure in hopes of creating lasting nationwide power outages, which would spark a civil conflict-like situation. Now, remember, our own DHS got warnings of this, or put out warnings of this. saying that this same side was going to do this here. I'm just wondering if this is like a practice run somewhere else, because they're all under the same umbrella. There's agents all over the world as far as, I look at Venezuela with their power grid, their knockout. Two guys were able to, basically go in and screw a whole ton of stuff up. I look at those things, like the Venezuela, the grid down scenarios, or the Mexico grid down scenario. I look at those and I'm like, are these practice runs? Are they doing this on actual big places, but just outside of other places, and then seeing if they can really do this? I'm just curious about this. Like this, just why would anybody, even if they, hated the people above them, why would they want to knock the grid down for everybody else? Like for the people that they're supposedly standing up for, why would they want to screw everybody else and have everybody fighting a civil conflict? I don't get it. It says a group figured that such would enable the toppling of Germany's elected government and ultimately its system. So personally, I don't see such stupidity. Like they would have a plan for that, and the only thing that would really get screwed up is civilians. But this is the same narrative in a different country. It's really kind of crazy. Dex?
Yeah, and the other thing we have to be cautious with, or anybody who runs an organization or a group of some sort should be cautious with, is the fact that we've seen in other countries, and we've even seen in our own country, infiltration of what I would just say a bad actor that can create this type of sentiment or this type of activity or planning that then wraps everyone into it as a whole, right? And we have a good example of that went through the court system in Michigan, right? The people that were acquitted for entrap, and they claim the FB and the letter that comes after it is I entrapped them. That's what the judge said. So we have to just understand when you see these types of things that there's certainly authentic ones, and there's certainly things that can be done, and we've seen in other countries too, where, like I said, bad actors infiltrate and do something to that group and that organization.
A good example is if somebody joined that group, suggested that, then they look at the whole group and say, this guy said that, and other people were like, yeah, that's a cool idea, and then they arrest everybody in that group.
Exactly.
Now, a truck driver's journey. I think I missed you before. I apologize. I was trying to get to everybody. Says, hey guys, sorry I had to walk away from all the news for a while to clear my head and ease my soul by stocking up and getting my house in order. I love you guys. You are the most accurate news source I have ever watched. Fugel fan for life. Truck driver's journey, by the way, like I said, people, like even my friend Nick, he just, when it stresses him out, he stops watching. And I can understand why. For some people, this is not the content to watch. That's why most of us need to be open and honest and say, hey, if you're easily affected by this, you probably should tune out. You should not be watching this. Because I think most of us, I mean, I'll just, say it. A lot of us, we have to be looking into this. Like it's, you can't stop. Like once you kind of wake up to this stuff, it's like you can't go back to sleep. You can't go and take the blue pill again. I guess you could say it's kind of an obsession. Like you can't stop, and you can't go back to the normal life. I think that's why the Matrix reaches out to so many of us. It's like you can't go back into the Matrix. You can't forget what you learned. You can't go back into the thing after you've kind of been ripped out violently. So I think that's what a lot of us feel, and this is just kind of what we would be doing anyways. Bible Talk 777, all the searching for asteroids that might hit Earth, I just wonder if they look for ones that might destroy the moon. See, that's what I'm talking about. I think about the video before a couple of years ago where everybody was talking about the military guy saying that that they knew about something going to hit the moon, and if we lose the moon, we lose Earth. Would they then say, hey, we need to get not only off of Earth, but go to the moon and then go to Mars because the moon's going to be screwed too? Yeah, Dave Vavel, thank you for subscribing. So what do you think about this? Let me know in the comments down below. While we're on the subject of anything hitting the fan and power grids, make sure to go over and check out EMP Shield. So if there is a nation state actor or NK, or they even set it up to look like NK, or they make it look like it's somebody else, either way, if you want to get prepared for a scenario like that, such as an EMP or a man-made EMP, or even a solar flare, we are now in solar cycle 25, one of the craziest cycles we've ever seen, then you can do so with marfooglenews.com/EMP. Now, this company was a small company doing this by hand out of Kansas. And they still do most of it by hand as well now. They just have a whole lot more people. When we first started with them, they were one building hand producing these in Kansas. And then T-Man was elected, and he ended up signing in an emergency order. Once he saw the state of our grid, he signed in an emergency executive order that basically pumped up, and he said, we got to protect our grid now. It's going to take years and years and years. We got to get it done now. They called these guys. DHS, DOD, and others have done business with them, including the DEMSO team. So now they are officially helping protect the Texas grid and the rest of the United States grid. So this is a really, really, really awesome company. Again, it is a veteran-owned company. All of the founders are essentially in this prepper community, and they had no idea that their company would be this big. It's kind of like you make a company and then all of a sudden Uncle Sam gives you a whole ton of orders. Again, marfooglenews.com/EMP. These guys are awesome. If anyone's ever dealt with them, feel free to tell others what you've experienced. They're great. Again, it can protect against all three phases of an EMP and solar flares. A Carrington Level Plus event will happen at some point. In fact, most believe we are overdue by about 10 years. 160 years ago, we had one. They say it happens on average every 150 years. You will get $50 off per device, and you will be helping your favorite channel out at the same time. So you get that grandfathered in $50 off per device if you want to do multiple cars, your house, your generator. They have one for your ham radio. They have one for pretty much anything you want to keep running after this happens. Now, if it doesn't happen, again, there's normal uses for this as well. It is basically a surge protector on steroids. In fact, some would say this is a surge protector on crack. It is insanely, insanely efficient. So marfooglenews.com/EMP. Go check it out, and then make sure to tell them Marfoogle sent you. Okay, and then Stormy Mac, Peaceful Warrior Debbie, thank you from Canada for popping in. And then Vamos a la Panda, thank you. And then we have 17 LA gangs have sent out crews to follow and rob city's wealthiest. This is what LAPD is saying. So now in in LA, they're essentially saying that the gangs have now teamed up. They've organized and said that they are going to be following the wealthiest people home. Now, this is kind of following off of what we talked about as far as these groups that are watching people come out of high-end stores, and they're looking at what kind of car they get in. Some of them have even put trackers on the car. They've even put Apple decks. What do they call them? Air tags on. They're magnetic. They'll put them on the bottom of their car, and then they will track them home. So much so that Apple has actually made it so if you have an Apple phone and it detects one of these iPhone AirTags following you, it will say, hey, there's an AirTag that's right around you, and it's coming with you. That is correct, right?
Yeah, it's correct. And you can even make it play a noise so you can find it and get rid of it. But they tell you if that happens, you should just go straight to the police with your vehicle.
Yeah, so they're... and I do believe this is happening because Foogle fan members have already said that this has happened. So people are getting desperate. And here's the thing. I believe 100% people are getting desperate. with gas prices, with food prices, with everything else. It's not just the gangs that are doing this. It is regular people. Catalytic converters. We just had somebody try to take the catalytic converter of the truck we have, but they couldn't do it in time before my lovely neighbor ran out and screamed at him and basically threatened to beat his butt. This was a woman, and she scared the crap out of him. But anyways, she is not somebody to mess with, right? So this has happened, and then we had our gas stolen. Somebody had siphoned all of our gas. So it's like people are getting super, super desperate. It says that more than a dozen Los Angeles gangs are targeting some of the city's wealthiest residents in a new and aggressive manner, sending out crews in multiple cars to find and follow and rob people driving high-end vehicles or wearing expensive jewelry, according to police. In many cases, they're making off with designer handbags, diamond-studded watches, and other items worth tens of thousands of dollars, if not more, and then peddling them back to the market buyers who are willing to turn a blind eye to the underlying violence. It says in some cases, suspects have been arrested but then released from custody, only to commit additional robberies, police said. Those are among the conclusions of a Los Angeles Police Department task force convened at the end of last year to identify the cause of sudden surge in follow home or follow off robberies. This is this is insane. So now people are waiting outside stores. A couple tips, I guess, is if you see and if you feel like somebody's following you, immediately take a left, then take a left, then take a third left. And if they are still behind you, you need to drive to your nearest police station or to somewhere where you know you have protection and you are safe. And that doesn't mean home if you have something. Like, to a public space where you can get out and call for help. This is happening. We know this is happening. And it's not just in LA. It's happened in Washington here. And this is pretty, we're not known for our street gangs, right? We have a few, but it's not like it is in LA or the Bay or anywhere else or New York. And Dex, you probably have this going on in Georgia, I'm assuming. And Georgia's got some.
Yeah, we have a really what used to be a nice part of the city of Atlanta that it's gotten so bad that they tried to secede from the city to make their own city so they could get their own protection and police force running because things have just gotten so bad. And this was like, it's the whatever is your high end part of Seattle. This is the high end part of Atlanta. It's called Buckhead. It's like this is where Elton John lives, just to give you an example, in a penthouse there. So, yeah, it seems to be growing in the metropolitan areas everywhere, and for various reasons, whether it's economic or lax laws or reduced patrolling.
Now, I don't know if this is like it here. Do you have any places in Georgia that have just a huge number of RVs parked there? And I mean like RVs parked on the street. Do you have anything like that?
We probably do. I haven't noticed it personally, so I wouldn't know where.
So here, almost all of the Walmarts and big stores, and in fact, one of them closed down, which it had this whole city of RVs. Now, back in my early 20s, I actually lived in an RV basically behind a grocery store for a while, and I rented it for $25 a week. And it was cheap rent, and I had a generator, and I was able to live extremely cheaply. And I was working at I was doing, dishes, and I was a busboy, essentially. So I lived in one of those, and everybody would move every 3 days. And the guy who I was renting from would just come and move it to, like, down the block. Well, it was probably like 4 or 5. The same area now, it's like 150 RVs. And then all over in multiple cities, you see all of these RVs. If anybody's familiar with Seattle, up on Aurora and down by Green Lake, and in Maine, Seattle, there's tents everywhere. I mean, it's never been this crazy. And then during CV, it got even worse. Our downtown area was just nonstop tents by the actual courthouse, at the courthouse steps. There's just hundreds of tents. They actually have full parks filled to the brim with tents, and it's a tent city. And some of the most dangerous people, along with just the people that are just trying to get by, are mixed in with that. There's certain areas like the jungle that cops won't even go into. I mean, it's like, and part of it is that you're committing these crimes which have a chance to become violent, like robbing people and doing these things where they could just take your watch and let you leave, or something goes wrong, the guy reaches for something, and then all of a sudden it's a murder. And it's like those kind of things, even though they may not be violent on that one attempt and then they get released, it could be the next time. And I just don't see how they're doing this. People are walking out with full carts of stuff out of every single store in my state. In my state, every single store, they're going for the high price items like appliances, Legos, and anything that they can flip super, super quick. And it's just insane. They go out with a full cart of it, and it's unbelievable. And they cannot get these guys unless they get them for organized crime or organized theft or organized theft ring or something like that. And then we have a Mexican official warns of chaos at the border when Title 42 expires in May. This is, again, a Mexico government official fears there will be chaos at the border unless President JB's administration comes up with a clear plan on how to handle the onrush of nearly 140,000 migrants seeking asylum since once Title 42 is lifted next month. As many as 4,000 migrants are currently staying at shelters in the border town of Tijuana, while about 1,500 are housed in shelters in Mexicali as the clock ticks down towards the May 23rd, the date when the controversial policy imposed by former President DT is lifted. Tens of thousands of additional migrants are in Chiapas, near the Mexico southern border, awaiting humanitarian visas from the country. So... And it says, we hope that the United States is very clear about how it will receive all of those asylum applicants once Title 42 is eliminated, because it is not clear whether they will do it in person at the border or if they will do it online. Dex, this is just getting absurd.
Yeah, and just imagine, like we showed the stats. I don't remember that chart where I got it. I'd have to go find it. It was a government chart from the Border Patrol, but the numbers were staggeringly high right now already. And so the thing that I was trying to say at that time, and I think everyone else is saying here, is when these things change, when 42 is gone, the influx is going to be so huge, they're probably not going to be able to man it. Like, what they've got, the resources they have now can't even deal with what's happening now. What are they going to do when it's 10x or 20 times or even, potentially 100 times more people coming across at one time? And by the way, this is, set the whatever side you are on whether or not this should happen. You have to deal with the human effect of the fact that there are like kids, children, women, and lots of different people that are mixed up into this, right? And how do you actually deal with that in a way that is humane, is safe, people don't get damaged, don't get hurt? There's a lot that has to go into, dealing with that. And by the way, this is coming from somebody on the Mexico side, right? They have to deal with it first. So it has to come through their country, and they have to manage the expenses, manage the dealing with the population, preventing crime, trying to help people not be injured or hurt or have bad things happen to them. And of course, we know that they're not that great, but they do the best, I guess they can. They could probably do better, but they do the best they can, dealing with the I don't want to call them gangs, but the organized cartel, thank you. That's what they're called down there along the border, who make all their living off of this, right? They're the ones that are controlling everything that's coming through. So, this is a cash cow for them. And, so they're going to eat that up. The cartel is, and the government on the other side is going to have a really hard time dealing with it. And then we're going to have a massively hard time dealing with the influx of people. So it won't surprise me if we're not sending, troops down that way if this happens, if these numbers get to the level that they're talking about.
Well, even Psaki ended up admitting and said that the system is broken, and it is. What I don't understand is how they are mixing colors into this, whatever color you may be. It's just any country usually has. I can't, if I wanted to go to France, I can't just go and be a citizen of France. If I wanted to go to any European country, or if I wanted to go to Africa, I couldn't just go and be an African. That's just not how it works. Places have rules and then ways to get in legally. I don't know how they ever made this about where they were from or whatever this was. I never understood that, and I think it's crazy that for even talking about it, people are considered one thing or another. They're considered, they're labeled, right? I don't get that. I think that and they just pretend like there's no people of all backgrounds saying that they don't agree with this. People that are citizens of all backgrounds are saying, hey, this is not a good thing no matter what. What they don't see is the people that end up piling up on these farms, or the kids that end up perishing on the way over, on a 15-mile stretch of desert that's just absolutely, 115 degrees or something. It's just insane. I think everybody has a bit of empathy for anybody that has come from a really horrible place. But that's not always the story. And then how do you be the judge for that, right? And then we have Xi accusing the U.S. of weaponizing extended Shanghai lockdown. Supposedly, it says that Xi has lashed out at the United States for ordering its consulate staff to leave the lockdown city of Shanghai, accusing officials of weaponizing the financial hub's failing attempt to contain the spread of that. It says on Monday, the U.S. State Department ordered the departure of non-emergency employees and their families from the city of 25 million due to the surge in this. Okay, Dex, what was the first thing you thought of? It probably, sorry about that, guys. It probably wasn't the V, right?
Yeah, it's rare that they've done. It's not usual. It doesn't seem usual to do this, but yeah, I was kind of curious why they would do that. They also added a warning about traveling there that said something similar. It said it was about not traveling in that area because you could be separated. Your children could be separated from you was the reason they gave, which is kind of crazy too.
Okay, so and by the way, everybody, so 25 million are like extreme, just clamp down. We'll call it the clamp down, right? In Shanghai. At the same time, Taiwan is issuing pamphlets and instruction manuals on what to do when basically they get invaded. And then we are removing our non-emergency employees and their families from Shanghai, one of the financial capitals. It's kind of like they're New York, right? It's like they're New York and they're LA put together, because it's both. It's as big as both, probably bigger, and it's a port. I believe it's a port city. Is Shanghai? Shanghai is one of the main ports as well. So that does not sound good when we have our employees and the U.S. State Department is ordering the departure of them and their families to get out, saying it's because of this. It's starting to come together. We've been asking over the last week, like, what is really going on here? And then yesterday with the Taiwan handing out the booklets on how where to go to shelters, where to do this, how to survive natural disasters if they hit, all sorts of weird things there. And then the U.S. military leaders warn that Xi's security deal with Solomon Islands sounds too good to be true. A senior U.S. military general has warned during a visit to Australia that Xi's offer to deepen security ties with the Solomon Islands will come with strings attached, suggesting the Pacific Island country may come to regret the planned deal. It says, quote, "My parents told me if a deal sounds too good to be true, it probably is," the commandant of the United States Marine Corps, General David Berger, said on Wednesday. Berger was cautious when asked about the longstanding U.S. concerns relating to the company's lease over the port of Darwin, which, remember, they essentially controlled a big part of the U.S., of a big port, and of Australia. It says relating to a company's lease over the port of Darwin, stressing it was a sovereign decision for Australia as part of its yet-to-be-completed national security review. Solomon Islands Prime Minister says very insulting. Okay, that's something else. It says ahead of a trip to Darwin, the site of increasing rotations of U.S. Marines, Berger said, "If it's not of concern to Australia, then it's not of concern to me." Berger's visits comes amid a flurry of diplomatic activity by the U.S. and Australia, attempting to head off a proposed security agreement between China and the Solomon Islands, which could allow regular visits by the PLA's Army's Navy. Basically, that it says It says a leaked draft of last month raised the possibility that China could make ship visits to, carry out logistical replenishment in, and have stopover and transition in the Solomon Islands. Well, Chinese forces could also be used to, quote, protect the safety of Chinese personnel and major projects in the Solomon Islands. It would be a refueling stop. Dex,
we've heard that before too. They can use their forces to protect their people or protect their assets or protect, land that they lease or buy
in Canada.
Right? So that basically just means they can roll in their troops, bring in however many troops you need. That's what it means. It means you can basically make a base.
You know what is so scary is how Canada's president, right, had that quote saying, I look up to Xi and how he's able to do all of this. And then you look at that deal that they had, right? That deal they had where troops could literally move right into Canada as long as they have an investment there. If they have an investment that they see as a national security thing or something that, it was the word?
Just if they owned it. If they bought a building with land and 55 acres and 2 buildings on it and they wanted to protect it, they could use their people to do it, meaning they could roll in their troops.
Oh, no. But not only that. They would not have to tell local law enforcement or anyone. They could fly private planes over and get in, land, put 15,000 troops if they wanted. If it was of national interest, they could put their troops there. That was part of it, and they didn't have to alert anyone. They don't have to tell the local, police department there. They don't have to tell anybody. Think about that. If all of a sudden this trading partner turns into a full-on adversary, and maybe somebody's in on it. Who knows? And maybe they are slowly setting up in a bunch of places around us and doing a sneak setup. Who knows? By the way, Irish Rebel, Adam, were you able to finish reading my email? I was, and I haven't gotten a chance to talk to Dex about it. But again, it just takes us a few days. I have 4 kids, so it's a little bit harder to do things. But when I can, I will get to you. And yes, we will both look at it and both will end up, we'll get back to you as soon as we can. And then thank you for your support. I appreciate that, Irish Rebel. And actually, it was kind of I thought it was pretty cool. So thank you. And then Tactical Apex, thank you. Toss Dare. Here's a theory. Maybe some of these meteorites are dropped here deliberately to deliver elements for someone that Earth doesn't make. Oh, I don't know if you're suggesting, by the way, from Australia, thank you, Toss Dare, that maybe there's an alien race here or something and they need the elements. Maybe I'm totally reading that wrong. And then Scaled to Thee. Thank you so much for your support. Tristan Green, Just a Crazy 2. Thank you so much. And then A Truck Driver's Journey says, energy is getting expensive on all fronts. My electric bill has been $600 for the last 2 months. When I called the electric company, both times they said it was just a result of rising costs of energy. I'm only home 15 days a month because of my job. So A Truck Driver's Journey, yeah. So basically, if you're not there, you're not using anything. And all of a sudden, when you are there, it's doubled and it's basically the same. Project Exodus, Paula T, Seneca, St. Buffalo, New York. Oh, so you were responding to Paula. So Seneca Street, Buffalo, New York. And then Tactical Apex, thank you again for subscribing, and Toss Dare. Thank you. So pretty crazy stuff here. And then G requested a heavily armed security team to be sent to Solomon Islands. Leaked documents revealed. That was actually a side note there. We might want to look into that as well. And then before we go on to Anonymous hijacks Vlad's spy satellites using Russian hacking tools, I do want to remind you, if you have not prepped up already, we have an option for you. If you have not seen My Patriot Supply, it is essentially a huge plethora of supplies, everything from long-term survival food to water filtration. Again, a lot of people are talking about as far as getting your water purified and cleaning out all of the bad stuff that may be in it. That is most definitely something that everybody should be looking into. Again, just because, and I actually thought about when about a year and a half ago, somebody ended up hacking into one of the town supplies of this, and they raised the level of something that's normally already in it, right? And they ended up raising it to dangerous levels. Somebody was physically there and just happened to see it and turned it back down manually. If that wouldn't have happened, it could have been dangerous for an entire town, because somebody actually hacked it through a computer and turned up the volume of normal chemical that is in it and made it to a dangerous level. Now, that's pretty scary. But again, most people by now are either drinking, bottled water or whatever else, if they can, but people do still use tap water. So again, if you want to filter your water, there is a full-on system here. It is called an Alexa Pure Pro. And they have iodine tablets. They have pretty much everything you can think of, from battery power. They have meals averaging 2,000 calories per day that are packed, sealed, and in buckets in their own MRE packaging. Again, ready to go. Just add water. And then again, if you have an Alexa Pure, whether you are putting rainwater or whatever the heck you end up putting in there, you will be able to filter that out. So I would highly recommend it. You will get a discount if you go 3 months or more. That is the only discount available right now. But one really awesome thing is, throughout all of CV, they didn't raise their prices. So with inflation and everything else, I'd highly recommend getting this stuff yesterday instead of tomorrow. With all of the logistical stuff that's going on as far as gas prices, as far as wheat and everything else that probably goes into making these meals and all of these things, I guarantee you they can't keep their prices the same forever. So marfugglenews.com/prep, you'll be helping your favorite channel, and you will be getting something of extreme value, and it won't cost you a cent more. That's again marfugglenews.com/prep. marfugglenews.com/prep. All right, and then Dex, you're our tech expert. What did they do here? They used basically their own tool against them. Is that what happened?
Yeah, they certainly did. So they, again, Anonymous they're one right after another. So they have, again, I guess, taken control of the spy satellites, but they did it using a version of the tool that comes from the Bear Country, that the Bear Country uses against everyone else. So they basically turned it around on them and used that to basically infiltrate and take over that system. So yeah, kind of a crazy spin story here.
Yeah, and it looks like they ended up getting into the Kremlin's spy satellite program and used the cybercrime tools to do it. There's more information on this. They actually used a ransomware used by Russian hackers to steal money from hospitals and health services across Ireland, Europe, and the USA. They then turned it against the space systems. So, they also say that this is anonymous. It could be any group. It could be any country. It could be the biggest, the most financially stable country. It could have been a 3-letter agency. We don't actually know. But I wouldn't put it, I wouldn't say that it's beyond what Anonymous can do, because Anonymous is exactly that. It could be anyone, right? And then I just want to say a special thank you to Kelly2334. Just did a ninjet over on DLive. I want to thank you for your support, and also thank you for bestowing the highest compliment you can over on DLive. I appreciate that. And also, Kelly, whether you're here or not, or you're watching the replays, we appreciate you. And again, I if I knew you were still there, we'd be shouting you out anyways. Thank you so much, Kelly2334. And I hope you are having a great day, and I hope you are getting into all this crazy stuff that is happening right now. Make sure to use that website if you can. You have a whole bunch in web-only content, especially today. All right, and then Craig Erickson, thank you for subscribing. Citizen Debs, FMC programmer, thank you as well. Thank you for subscribing. Genuinely, thank you so much for joining us. And then Gareth McCowan, thank you for subscribing. Tough Cuff, Stormy Mac, thank you for subscribing. And everyone else that just popped in. Stephen Moore, thank you for subscribing. Lots of new people today, so thank you. It seems like that's really what's going on nowadays. It's only when we're live. Michelle K, frustrated Squatch, R Tate, Artail, Yobi, I Love Jesus Forever, Badger, and we've got Doogie Doug. And Dougie Doug and Renegade Petey is in the house. Vicky K, thank you for gifting out badges. And thank you everybody that has supported tonight's show. Seems like multi-grids under attack. Michelle K, we've covered at least 3 that have had similar events in the last month. So yeah, something is happening, and I don't think it's just here in the U.S. It's all over the place. And looks like, of course, in Vlad's country too. So we'll see what happens with this. And Yobi says, hello all. Well, hello right back. And then UKR situation report. MI-17s for UKR nixed from the U.S. aid package, reports say. We'll do it. We won't do it. We will do it. We won't do it. Drones, artillery pieces, and more are expected to be in the new U.S. military aid package for UKR. And it says that there are multiple reports that the U.S. government has removed the Russian-made Mi-17 HIP helicopters from a list of weapons and other material that will be included in a new batch of military assistance for UKR. So they are so against them, they won't even send their own gear back. They won't even send the stuff that we have from them. Yeah. It's... And they also are going to send some freedom fries as well. From a list of and material and a batch of military assistance for UKR, exactly what will go into this aid package, which could include drones, howitzers, Humvees, and more, could have a total value of between 700 and 750 million, is still being finalized. So this is on top of the money that's already been sent. They have now received billions of dollars. U.S. dollars. It almost seems like, Dex, have you ever thought about the fact that how much money from all of these countries is going into one place right now?
Well, yeah, of course. It's insane. There's a lot of money going. It's not just there. We've talked about the fact that NATO countries transfer old gear in so they can get new gear from us, probably at a discount. And yeah, there's a lot of money flying around right now. One other thing, though, just think about this. If you keep reading a little further from where you were, those Mi-17s that, the U.S. has are made by the bear country. We actually got those from the GAN where we were. So I asked this question. We were able to take those things out and bring them home, but we didn't bring our equipment home. We left it there. Isn't that interesting? So yeah, we have a bunch of bear-made helicopters that we took from GAN, right? And we could transfer them to someone else to use. But I asked the question, how do we take those things out and bring them home, but not our own equipment? We left it all behind.
Why are you making sense, Dex?
I know.
I didn't ask you to bring logic to the table, okay?
I know. Forget it. This is the
Right.
wrong world, wrong era, wrong decade.
Dex,
Yeah, I know.
go back to the 80s, man, where logic and common sense ruled, okay? And the hairstyles were cool, okay? Just too much logic tonight. Yeah. Gosh, I didn't even think of that, Dex. That's incredible. And then UKR claims to have struck the flagship of Russia's Black Sea Fleet because only the hero stories are coming out of every outlet ever. It says that multiple UKR sources have claimed that the nation's armed forces have hit the Russian cruiser Moskva in a guided missile attack in the Black Sea. It says, quote, it has been confirmed that the missile cruiser Moskva today went exactly where it was sent by our border guards on Snake Island. Remember that island? It says claimed governor of Odessa Maxim Marchenko, referring to the cruiser's involvement in attack on UKR border post. Neptune missiles guarding the Black Sea caused very serious damage to the ship. Independent confirmation may be difficult. It says weather in the region is poor with heavy cloud cover. So, Dex, do you think in 5 days we're going to find out that it didn't hit it? It seems like...
Well, just to be clear, the other side said it took damage. The other side just said it wasn't from that. It was from a fire on board and then munitions that went off. Okay. So, and I'm not picking sides on here, and I'm not going to do anything like that because there's, for whatever reason, that's not the right way to go at the moment. But the one thing to think about is this ship is damaged. The ship is potentially sinking, or we'll find out if it's going to sink or if it's going to be towed back or if they can repair it in water and keep it afloat. Right. But this is one of their highest class of ships, right? It may be old, but by the way, a lot of our stuff is old too, and it's still our highest class of ships. So, but this is a big deal. So if this really did happen, it's going to be a big blow to the bear, and I would expect to see something in return, right? Not to us, but to the event that's happening over there, right? I would expect to see some sort of massive pushback, whether it be from the air or something else. So we'll have to watch this. This just sort of happened today, and everybody's sort of trying to figure out what exactly happened. Was it an accident? Did it really, get hit by the claims that they're making? But nonetheless, there is a damaged ship that's having some sort of significant trouble there, and it is a very important ship to that fleet.
What I just think is funny is they put in specifically independent confirmation may be difficult. Basically saying, well, we can't prove it because there's really bad weather. But yeah. And Sweden on a collision course with Vlad after declaring wish to join NATO. I am going to put out a video tomorrow talking about Sweden, talking about UKR and their ties together and how close they were in ancient times. So this is actually kind of pulls more into tomorrow's short video that I'll be doing. Because this is just really, really, it's kind of like a bad B movie, and we can all see this happening in slow-mo. This, I feel like, is going to turn into so much more. Obviously, now it looks like Sweden, Finland, other places, and and Dex, didn't we call this? I called this. Directly.
Yeah, we reported on this earlier, and now they're both making the steps. So they were saying, hey, we might do this. And then it came about that NATO leaders said, yeah, you're welcome. Come on in. And so now they're actually taking these steps. And in this case, the leaders in Stockholm have said they've quote unquote, made up their minds, according to reports in Swedish media, and they will be applying for membership in the coming months. So it sounds like they're absolutely moving forward.
And remember, that is the big red line, or one of the many red lines that Vlad has set. But on top of that, what I guess I called is that I believe that one of the less mentioned places, I think that may be Finland. I know that Sweden and Finland. What is
Finland's the one that's right up against their border?
Yeah.
The
so
Bear border.
what is the other one that we think that I said that I think that is going to be a part of this too, that we'll soon find out? Was it Switzerland? Switzerland. So Sweden and Finland are the ones that are officially moving closer to this. So here is, of course, Sweden, possibly on a collision course, and then we have Finland takes first step towards NATO with security report. So this is now exactly what people thought was going to happen is happening. And that's two more countries that are right around that area that are, as far as we know, going to join NATO. This is a huge development. If this ends up happening, then not so good. Also, NATO star has eight things there. If you look at the different colors, that'll pull into tomorrow's episode. I wanted to talk about the stars of some of the stuff from Sweden and from Kiev and from UKR and the ancient UKR. It says that Finland's government unveiled a security policy report that paves a way for a decision on joining NATO, citing the threat from neighboring Russia. So did they just find out something that both of these countries, essentially it came out that they're like, oh, yeah, we're going to join. What is going on behind the scenes? What is being decided? And what information are they getting that we are not that's telling them that they need to join? What do you guys think? Do you think that this means that we are closer to something bigger? Also, we've talked slightly about Xi and what's happening over there. Do you feel like this is all kind of like the stars being pulled in, but we can't see the big planet with the gravity? Like we can see all of these stars getting pulled in by some sort of gravity, but we can't see the object that's pulling it in. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Like we can see the things getting pulled in, but we can't see what is actually there pulling it. I think we'll find out pretty soon here. What do you think? Do you think I'm crazy? Let me know. Ninja Squirrel, we already sent UKR over 1.5. Hold on. Trillion dollars. 1.5 trillion. That's insane. David Cosgrove from Australia, thank you so much. From Down Under, thank you for your support. And then Yard Play McBride, thank you for subscribing. Craig Erickson, thank you for subscribing. Project Exodus, that 800 mil of equipment was already slated for delivery to Afghanistan. And now they're, that's just nuts. So you're saying that it was already, if we were still there, it was going to go there, or? Or am I seeing that wrong? All right. Now, before we go over, I almost got a leg cramp there. And before we go over all of the web only, I do want to remind you, go over and check out Off Grid. Make sure to use the code Marfoogle if you want a bag that will protect you from being tracked and traced. If you want to be able to go somewhere without thinking that anybody is following you or hacking your stuff, then make sure to go over to marfooglenews.com/offgrid. They have bags, they have backpacks, they have Faraday duffel bags, they have smaller tablet accessories, phone accessories, they have even key fobs accessories. Basically, these are Faraday bags, but they are also meant to keep anybody from their prying computers or hacking devices out of your devices. Now, mainly the duffel bag is one of the coolest things here. The backpack is most definitely cool. It's got a independent pocket for almost everything. But also you can just get, say, the bag you want. If you just want a phone case, you can. You put your phone in there. It is off. Nobody is getting into it. No signals are going out. Even if they try, they can't do it. It does not let any signals in or out. But also the duffel bag, as far as the Faraday bag, you can put all of your electronics in it and it will be safe. It will also protect it against what we talked about previously as far as EMP or CMEs. If you want those electrical devices to work, you would put them in something like this. Now, of course, we have talked about you could make something, or you could get something like this if you just want it done. This is really, really, really incredible quality. Make sure to go check it out. Marfooglenews.com/offgrid. Use the code Marfoogle. When you support any of the affiliates mentioned today, that is helping support the show. You're not paying a cent extra. In fact, in most cases, you're getting a discount. And, of course, you are helping us keep running stuff. As we cover this controversial stuff, it's getting harder and harder. In fact, everybody just got a notice basically saying certain things talking about UKR is off limits, or basically you don't get to play the game anymore. So thank you, everybody that helps us. And then also, bigger question too, if you would like to see us on a different platform, as far as a third platform, if you wanted to see us also stream other places, let us know. All right, and then Dex, web-only content is pretty insane right now.
Yes, plenty going on. Head over to marfooglenews.com, click on the thumbnail for the show, scroll down to web only, that yellow bar right there you see on the screen. That's what you're looking for. From there down is the rest of the story. And if you're on YouTube, it's even easier. Just open that description and click on show notes. First link there. This is where you're going to find out everything that's going on. Hey, the bus made it to Washington, and it made a drop off. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you need to go there and find out. There's some new information coming out about who was actually there, legitimately there in proof during the event that we can't talk about in January. Some feds, let's say. I'll leave it at that. You can find out more about that. Look, there's some crazy spying, if you want to call it that, on journalists. At least that's their point of view. Go figure out who it is. We've got it there, including other things that are too far to the one side, too far to too opinionated, or just too hot for TV. And then, of course, for those of you who don't know, I did not hear, Gilbert Gottfried did pass away at 67. So we wish him and his family all the best. So that's what's happening. Lots of other news there. I didn't tell you everything, so make sure you click on the link. Go to marfooglenews.com, click on the thumbnail for the show, scroll down to web only, or open up that description on YouTube. It's called show notes. One link, real easy. Click it. It'll take you right here.
By the way, Gilbert, he was good friends with Full House, with oh my gosh, Full House guy that just passed away. Dex, fill in the blank. You didn't watch the Full House. Olsen twins.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Bob Saget. I just
Bob
took me a
Saget.
minute because my brain was messed up. But
you always feel like you're swearing every time you say his last name. That guy. So they were good friends, and that's crazy because I just watched videos like a couple weeks ago of him saying, talking about death and how it just comes up on you without expecting it, and then now he is passed. Wonder if there was anything in that circle of friends that may have been weird. As far as many embedded assets at that event, pretty crazy stuff. Really, really crazy stuff, though, is especially this piece here. So, Dex, this is the one I didn't understand, and I didn't get a chance to see this. So they denied the motion to detain the two fake people. Why would they do that?
Yeah, they were. The motion was, I believe, the motion was to detain them without bail. And the judge said, hey, they're not a flight risk, so there's no reason, under his law to detain them without bail based on the type of, accusations.
How are they not a flight risk? They both pretended to be somebody completely different. They could literally print out a new ID and just pretend to be somebody else and run. That sounds like there's something going on with this, and we're gonna follow. I don't know if you can hear that. Sorry, guys. Do you guys hear that? So earlier, jets flew over and there was nothing on flight radar. Nothing. I don't, we're on the West Coast, and I'm telling you, there's so much more stuff going on than we think. I'm praying for everybody, for everyone across the planet, for everything to go, back to okay, and everything's okay. I highly doubt that that's going to happen. That's why we're prepping. But again, I hope that everything goes back to normal. We will see you guys. Thank you so much to Irish Rebel. Thank you to Derek McLovin. How do you kiss someone at the end of the world? On the apocalypse. That's pretty good. And then thank you, Ninja Squirrel, David Cosgrove. Thank you, Kelly2334. Irish Rebel and Kelly, thank you guys for both being the top supporters tonight. We really appreciate it. And along with Tristona, thank you, Tristona. Marf, been hearing those things the past few days. Pretty crazy stuff. All right, guys. Love you guys. Be safe. Be prepared. And Marf out. Time for the shoutro. Shoutro. According to what recently released, United States Space Command, the document. Maybe it was a spaceship, or maybe it was rented by the elites. And if you want to get metric, it was going 28 miles per second. I think it was rotating around heliocentric. Maybe it was a spaceship, or maybe it was rented by the elites. And if you want to get metric, heliocentric. Got the MSC with the Morris band and the gaming now with the Ninja Squirrel. Cars, graveyard play, McBride and the big old world. Ilea and a happy birthday. Shastina and everybody gonna love. Go put you round in the God above. Hey now, Craig, Erickson, Citizen Bev, and the rest is mine. Now we gonna win. Everything is already won. Tactical, Apex, Casdale, Australia, Scale to D, and Tristan Ram. Going back with Tristan Green. Just in case, just crazy. Kelly 2334. Bring it back and bring it more. Everybody gonna love you for more. Interstellar meteor to hit Earth, according to what recently released, United States Space Command, the document. Stormy Mac on the done ass, tough cuff in the stormy Mac, and the peaceful warrior Debbie, and Project Exodus. Everybody gonna be the famous Panda. I've been Silverman in Kanda. Go back to Wakanda. Like a Tad Boss quick on the shuffles. In the Stephen Moore. Hate it, got sass passion more. I do it right back and I got it more. I bring it. Maybe it was a spaceship or maybe. Ba 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 ba. I drive going back away with the Wendy Caprio. No patch of man, one myself, I love on the guy. I go back down to way back when I home up now and the Vinnicky. I put that shield and a Grammy Mickey. On that dock with the calamari and the Sandra Taylor got the seat with the Hope Lane, Anthony, Lionel Jones, Robin in the car in the back in the bonds, and Steven, I'll make a man, or Bible talk, triple seven. Hey, now, I'm gonna bring it on down with the Randy man and the Cadney. With the Iceland B and the Major B and the Prepper me and the Blue Sky D and the chance now with the Pogo Loco 5P40 maybe minus 10 low as I and tennis in I got back down. Oh yeah. CJ Blaze and J Stone 78. CJ Blaze and J Stone 78. CJ Blaze and J Stone 78. And the art crazy life on the gonna eat, about on the gonna be, everybody gonna be bouncing. Test on the major, on the step more, our crazy life. Don't know how to bring it back, and now we're gonna see the light. Test on the major, on the step more, our crazy life. Got the miss on the shit. Oh, everybody gonna be BC. A peppermint and the poker logo and the tuxedo junction. United under one with the crazy light we all poppin'. Now Derek and McLaughlin, Marfoogle jams right here tonight. Hey, make sure to join us over on Marfoogle team. And if you love him, Matthew Black or Wolf, I bring up, I do. Simply pony everyone over to the Marfoogle jams after party. Run the man, the G.O. I hop and everything good. I want they can. Trump be good, judge that you know when the D-Ray see and everybody know.